Welcome to Culture Alley Mandarin. Ni hao. This is Basic Mandarin Lesson 16. Let's start by going over some of the phrases that you learned in the last lesson. 1 translates to yi. 2 becomes er. 3 is san. 4 will be si. 5 is wu. 6 is translated as liu. 7 becomes qi. 8 will be ba. 9 is jiu. And finally, 10 translates to shi. Great! Now let's take a look at numbers 11 through 19. The general rule for Mandarin numbers 11 to 19 is place plus the number. Therefore, we see that 11, which is 10 and 1, becomes 11. 12, that is 10 and 2, becomes 12. 15, or 10 and 5, becomes 15. 17, which is 10 and 7, translates as 17. 18, or 10 and 8, becomes 18. And finally, 19, that is 10 and 9, becomes 19. Great! Let's take a look at numbers beyond 19. The rule for Mandarin numbers beyond 19 is numbers plus place for numbers ending in 0, and numbers plus place plus number for other numbers. Let's review them once. 20, which is 2 and 10, translates to 20. 30, that is 3 and 10, becomes 30. 50, or 5 and 10, becomes 50. 21 breaks up to 2, 10, and 1, translating to 21. While 36, or 3, 10, and 6, becomes 36. Lastly, 55 is 5, 10, and 5, becoming 55. Wonderful! Now let's review some phrases that we've covered as well. How much does it cost? Translates to 多少钱? While how much is it becomes 多少. This is $10 translates as 这个10美元. While this is 18 yuan is 这个18块. Similarly, this is 20 yen is translated as 这是20日元. And finally, this is $60 will be 这个60美元. Alright, now let's see what we will learn today. Today, we will have a look at expressions of time. We will now learn how to ask or tell time and some other time-related expressions, such as, what time is it? It's 5 o'clock, etc. Let's start by learning how to ask time in Mandarin. Let's see how we say, what time is it now? and learn the vocabulary for the same. The measure word for time is 点, and it is pronounced using a falling rising tone, like 点. Great! Clock translates to 钟, which is pronounced using a high level tone, like 钟. Now becomes 现在. 现在 uses a falling tone on both A's. Remember that X carries a sh sound in Mandarin. Can you try saying 现在? Very good! As we already know, how many translates to 几 and uses a falling rising tone. In Mandarin, the literal translation of what time is it now becomes now how many time, which along with the measure word becomes now how many measure word time. Let's see the word-by-word breakup of what time is it now. Now translates to 现在. How many becomes 几. The measure word is 点, and clock is 钟. Thus, what time is it now translates to 现在几点钟. Let's try saying that again. It's 现在几点钟. That literally means now how many time. Now that we know how to ask time, let's take a look at how to read time. For this, we need to take a look at the vocabulary we learned before. The measure word for time will be 点, while clock becomes 钟. And finally, now becomes 现在. To understand the answer format of the sentence, we must see the question structure first. Since we know that the structure for question is now how many time, and in Mandarin, the answer comes where the interrogative lies, our answer simply replaces the interrogative and becomes now dash measure word time. Thus, the literal way of reading time in Mandarin is now dash measure word o'clock. Let's take a look at a few sentences to substantiate this. Let's have a look at word-by-word translation of now time measure word o'clock. Now translates to 现在. Then the time will be told in Mandarin. Measure word for time, as always, is 点, and clock becomes 钟. Thus, it's o'clock now will become 现在 blank 点钟. Literally meaning now time measure word clock. Note that it's is not actually translated while reading time in Mandarin, as the word now takes its place. Let's take a look at some examples. It's 11 o'clock now translates as 现在11点钟. Can you try and say that? It's 现在11点钟. Very good. Now let's look at it's 3 o'clock now. It's 3 o'clock now is translated as 现在3点钟. Literally meaning now 3 measure word clock. Great. Let's look at another one. It's 12 o'clock now will become 现在12点钟. Literally implying now 12 measure word clock. Here's another phrase. It's 1 o'clock now becomes 现在1点钟. Literally meaning now, 1, measure word, clock. Very good. Now let's take the sentence, it's 2 o'clock. Here we shall say 2 as 2 and not as 2, as we learned before. 2 translates to 2, which is pronounced using a falling, rising tone. Here's an interesting tip for you. 2 is used to say 2 in front of common measure words, or words that express a quantity. Thus, we use the word 2 and not 2 before the measure word 点. So let's see how we say it's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock now translates as 现在2点钟. Literally meaning it's 2 o'clock now. Or now, time, measure word, clock. Did you notice that we've put 钟 or o'clock in brackets in the last slide? This is because we have the option of omitting the word o'clock from our translation. This is the same as saying it's 3 instead of saying it's 3 o'clock, just like in English. Let's make it clearer by taking a few examples. For example, it's 5 now can be translated as 现在5点. As you can see, we've omitted 钟 in this case, literally converting the sentence to now 5 measure word. Let's take another one. It's 7 now becomes 现在7点. So the literal meaning becomes now 7 measure word. Next, we have the phrase it's 9 now. It's 9 now is translated as 现在9点. Literally, it translates to now 9 measure word. Similarly, it's 8 now will become 现在8点. Literally becoming now, time, measure word. Great! Study Mandarin at your own pace using awesome audio-visual lessons at culturealley.com. See you at the alley! Alright, it's quiz time. Let's see if you remember what we've learned today. What is the measure word for time? Do you think it's 钟? Or is it 点? Or could it be 11? The measure word for time is 点. Hope you got it right. How do we say it's 2 o'clock now? Do we say 现在11点钟? Or does it become 现在2点钟? Or does it become 现在2点钟? The correct answer is 现在2点钟. How did you do there? I'm sure you got that right. Great! We have seen how to read time. We can now read expressions like it's 2 o'clock, it's 5, etc. Now let's see how to read exact time and learn a few more expressions of time like it's 5 minutes after 3, it's 3 minutes after 11, etc. For this, we will have to learn some vocabulary. So let's start. Minutes translates to fun and is pronounced with a high level tone. Here's a quick grammar tip for you. Ling, pronounced in a mid-rising tone, has a lot of meanings. For our purposes, ling means 0, and is used before single-digit numbers while talking of minutes. While writing single-digit numbers, we write them as 05, 07, etc. Let's take an example. Let's translate, "It's 5 minutes after 3." It literally becomes, now, 3, measure word, 5 minutes. Here's the breakup of the sentence. Now translates to 现在. 3 becomes 三. Measure word inserted here is 点. 0 becomes 零. 5 translates to 五. And minutes is translated as 分. It's 5 minutes after 3 is translated as 现在3:05分. Literally becoming, now, 3 o'clock, 05 minutes. In Mandarin, it may be helpful to look at time as if one is reading it out of a digital clock. We read time as it appears in front of us, thus 3:05 p.m. literally becomes now 3, measure word, 05 minutes. Let us now see the word-by-word translation of the sentence, "It's 3 minutes after 11." Now translates to 现在. 11 becomes 11. Measure word will be 点. 0 is translated as 零. 3 is 三. And finally, minutes becomes 分. Thus, it's 3 minutes after 11 is translated as 现在11:03分. We know that it literally becomes now 11 o'clock and 3 minutes. Let's try another phrase. It's 7 minutes after 11. Here's the breakup. Now translates to 现在. 7 is 七. Measure word used here is 点. 11 becomes 11. And finally, minutes will be 分. Thus, it's 11 minutes after 7 will become 现在7:11分. Literally meaning, now, 7 o'clock and 11 minutes. Note that the word meaning 0, or 零, is only used for single-digit numbers. Thus, it is not used for numbers 10 onwards. Let's take a look at one more example. Now translates to 现在. 8 becomes 八. Measure word used here is 点. 20 translates to 20. And minutes will be 分. Thus, it's 20 minutes after 8 is translated as 现在8:20分. Literally meaning, now 8 o'clock 20 minutes. Note that 20 is not a single-digit number, so we need not add 0 or 零 before it while reading time. Hope you got that concept now. Alright, it's time for another quiz. Let's see if you remember. How do we say 11 minutes in Mandarin? Do we say it as 11分? Or do you think it is 3分? Or could it be 午饭. 11 minutes translates to 11分 in Mandarin. Moving on, how do we say 6 minutes in Mandarin? Do we say it as 09分 or 90分 or 06分? The correct answer is 06分. Very good. We are done for the day. Let's review the phrases we learned today. What time is it now translates to 现在几点钟? It's 11 o'clock now becomes 现在11点钟. It's 3 o'clock now will be 现在3点钟. It's 12 o'clock now becomes 现在12点钟. Good. It's 1 o'clock now is 现在1点钟. It's 2 o'clock now will be 现在2点钟. It's 5 minutes after 3 is translated as 现在3点05分. And it's 3 minutes after 11 becomes 现在11点03分. Excellent. Now let's review some more phrases. It's 5 now will become 现在5点. It's 7 now will be 现在7点. It's 9 now becomes 现在9点. It's 8 now translates to 现在8点. Moving on, it's 5 minutes after 3 is 现在3点05分. It's 3 minutes after 11 becomes 现在11点03分. It's 11 minutes after 7 translates as 现在7点11分. And it's 12 minutes after 8 will be 现在8点12分. Very good. Alright, it's time for the culture leaf of the day. Today, we will learn about Mahjong. After decades of being banned, Mahjong, a game that originated in China itself, is regaining popularity once more with men and women alike. Similar to the Western card game Rummy, Mahjong is a game of skill, strategy, and calculation and involves a certain degree of chance. One of the myths of the origin of Mahjong suggests that Confucius, the Chinese philosopher, developed the game in about 500 BC. The myth also claims that Confucius was fond of birds, which would explain the name Mahjong, where Ma Tre means sparrow. The 3 dragon tiles agree with the 3 cardinal virtues bequeathed by Confucius, representing benevolence, security, filial piety. The image here shows the 3 dragon tiles in the order. The left one represents benevolence, the middle one sincerity, and the right one filial piety. In the next lesson, we shall learn about daily expressions of time such as today, tomorrow, and more. Hope you enjoyed your lesson today. See you at the alley for the next one. Learn Mandarin with awesome audio-visual lessons, interactive quizzes, and games. Find coaches from China and learn live over Skype. Just visit culturealley.com. See you at the alley!